Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is a paid request for Lucas. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, reviews, reactions, tier lists, rankings, video game playthroughs, random topics, whatever the case may be, PayPal is the best way to do it. Do have a Cash app as well. Links are down below in info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. Video for, what's that? Yeah, PayPal and Cash App are the best ways to do it. I just want to make sure. Again, links are down below. Sorry, it's late. I had a brain fart. Had a short circuit. Bear with me. Go on to this day. So, A Bug's Life is what we're talking about. I told this in my review of Ants, but I'll tell it again just in case. Jeffrey Katzenberg was working with Disney at the time. Something happened either with pay, not getting the money he wanted, some back and forth with Michael Eisner. Either way, he left Disney. He went to do and pretty much co-build, co-fund, co-create DreamWorks with Steven Spielberg and David Geffen. So DreamWorks were doing their live action films like Deep Impact, among others. And they also were doing films like this film for DreamWorks Animation. Well, not this film. What would become Ants. The Prince of Egypt and Ants. Now, the director of this film, Lasseter, who's the same guy that directed Toy Story and Toy Story 2, I think he did Cars, he says Katzenberg stole the idea. That for years they were thinking of doing a story about ants where one ant has to do some things to help save his colony. And there's a bit with him and the princess and all this other stuff. He says, the director of this film, who did Toy Story, he said Katzenberg stole the idea. Katzenberg, no, I didn't steal the idea. But it's very weird timing that when Katzenberg leaves and he's all pissed off, they both decide to make ant animated films at the same time. So, you figure it out. Katzenberg and them rushed it to get their film out first. So Ants came out in October. This film came out in November. They both had kind of the same critical reception, over 90%. Ants didn't really do that well. It only made $90 million in the U.S., 130 to 160 some worldwide. This, I think, made more money in the U.S. than Ants did worldwide. So this was the more of the winner, box office wise. And it seems like if you talk to people, they say they like A Bug's Life more. Now, I do like Ants more. I'll do that in the next video. But this was fine. Like, did I mind this film? No. The commentary, which I'll have it up by this point, to be fair, it's not a good commentary for me, because sometimes when I watch films like that, I don't have a whole lot to say, because they kind of speak for themselves. I've only seen the film, like, 2 or 3 times in my life, so I don't have any passion for it one way or the other. Like, commentaries help when you're passionate about it, loving it, or hating it. Or it's your first time, so you just reacted naturally to, like, what the fuck, you know, that type of thing. This is one of those films that it's harmless, it's fine. Again, I like Ants more because it's a little bit more mature. The dialogue feels a bit more natural, a little bit more witty. You know, with the stuff Woody Allen kind of added to his character, and the dialogue just changes. Hell, it felt a bit more violent and other stuff of that nature. And it's just a bit more kind of unique and quirky to me compared to this. This one, it's definitely more child-friendly. It's definitely much more colorful. I would say, like, the Ants and the Bugs, they definitely have a better, more fitting aesthetic that's more pleasing to kids. I think for parents of kids. That's why I'm sure if they looked at the trailers to these two Ants with the faces that try to look like humans and pointed noses, and they kind of thought that looked ugly and maybe that wouldn't be right for kids. So the parents probably was, we'll wait a month and we'll take them to see this film. So that among other stuff probably helped why this made more money at the box office. And while I do like ants more, I just say like the look of the ants do look more pretty with the rounded faces. It's definitely much more, like I said, a colorful film. Does you have the troop of bugs that come in? That's the circus troupe, and you have like a ladybug and a black widow spider and a stick bug and uh, I think like a rhinoceros beetle, among other type of bugs. So there's a bit more variety of the main cast of characters, and it's definitely much more visual gags and not quite so much innuendos and more, like I said, more fitting for kids. But it's fun. I mean, the voice cast does a good job. You got Dave Foley from Kids in the Hall. He plays your lead, who's an ant, who's an inventor, who means well but screws things up accidentally. You have Kevin Spacey as the villain, this grasshopper. And before I get into the rest of the cast, the story's pretty simple. The ants, they're picking their food. The grasshoppers come in, says, we want the food that's owed to us. They try to steer the others, including this little Dottie, or Dot, who's the queen's younger daughter, Tiny, and is also a friend to Dave Foley's character. Dave Foley stands up for her, and then they're like, okay, well, now you owe us double. They get pissed at Dave Foley, not just for that, but because he screwed up a lot of the food that they had by mishap. He says, I'll go find help, I'll go find Bugs and others that could go beat up the bad guys when they come back. They're like, just give him away, that way he's not here, he's not screwing up anything. He finds a group. He thinks they're Billy badasses, but really they're a circus troupe actors. Misunderstandings, not having any communication with each other. He finds out too late who they are. They decide to go along with the act eventually, and you know how it goes. Eventually they find out who they are, you know who you said you were, the blame game, a lot of the blame game, until something happens with the colony, the outcast, the outsiders, not the NWO, but the other outsiders, they come back in and save the day. Like, you know where it's going. But the voice actor, like Kevin Spacey, despite what kind of shithead he is, it's funny how both films, Ants with Woody Allen, here with Kevin Spacey, two bug films that have people in pretty substantial roles that are pretty iffy to shitty human beings of the perverted variety. Only Woody likes the young girls and Kevin likes the young boys. There you go. Get with Bill Cosby, have a trifecta of horseshit. But at least Kevin Spacey is playing a bad guy. But I mean, he does a good job. He definitely gives that intensity, as Kevin Spacey has done quite a few times throughout his career. You have Julia Louis-Dreyfus as the princess. You have Hayden Panettiere. I didn't realize it was her until watching this again. I'm like, is that her? The same girl that was the star of the video game Until Dawn. I didn't see the movie. I was never requested the movie Until Dawn. But the video game, which I remember liking the story, the characters, well, some of them. She was the main character in that game. She was also in Scream 4 and I think Scream 6 she was in. She's been in other stuff. She plays Dot, the little girl who's the cute character of the group. Phyllis Diller is the queen. Richard Kind, who I remember from the TV show Spin City, he is Kevin Spacey's brother. And then you have the the circus troupe. You have David Hyde Pierce as the stick bud, who usually becomes a prop for people to swing his body with. David Hyde Pierce, he's done stuff with Kelsey Grammer, Frasier, of course, as well as some episodes of The Simpsons. John Ranft as Heimlich, a green caterpillar who's a bit like the goofy, silly guy who wants to be a butterfly. Dennis Leary as the ladybug that people keep thinking is a female, and he has a temper, which for some reason when I first saw this I thought it was Jason Alexander. As I watch it now, I'm like, yep, it's clearly Dennis Leary, but for some reason I thought it was Jason Alexander. I don't know why. Maybe because I saw Julia Louis-Dreyfus or heard her, I'm like, oh, it must be Jason Alexander. I mean, it's not. It's Dennis Leary, who, of course, will later do voice work for Ice Age in those films. Yeah, Jonathan Harris, which is Dr. Smith from the TV show Lost in Space. He plays a praying mantis who's like a magician. His wife is a moth, played by Madeline Kahn from Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles. Bonnie Hunt, who I thought was a sweetheart of a lady, or so it seems, in films like Jumanji, among others. She plays Black Widow. Brad Garrett, who's Ray Romano's brother, and Everybody Loves Raymond. He was in The Pacifier with Vin Diesel. He plays the Rhino Beetle, who's big, and he doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue. And you have some other people too. You have Michael McShane, who plays these twin little buds who are like Hungarian, and you can't understand what they're saying. Roddy McDowall's in the film as an ant. Sadly, he doesn't have a whole lot to do, but it's great to hear his voice. And sadly, like, as I'm going through this list, a lot of these people are gone. I mean, of course, Roddy McDowall, this is one of the last things he ever did. And in fact, he died before this came out. Because I think he died in October, but this came out in November of 1998. And Phyllis Diller's no longer, I don't think she's with us anymore. Jonathan Harris, Dr. Smith, lost it, he's no longer with us. So yeah, sadly a few people are not with us anymore. Alex Rocco, I don't know. Alex Rocco's in the film. I don't think he's with us. I don't think. Yeah, he passed away 2015. Jonathan Harris passed away 2002. Phyllis Diller, she passed away 2012. And of course, Roddy McDowall, 1998. So yeah, it's too bad, but what can you do? And yeah, the film of itself, it's a film that, like I said, it's more cutesy. Dave Foley and the friendship he has with Dot, the little girl, is a cute friendship where he tries to explain about how big things could come in small packages. So, like a seed can make a tree grow. But when he tries to explain, he doesn't have a seed, it's a rock. But he's like, just pretend it's a seed. And he goes through the whole thing, and then she goes, so a rock will create a tree? No, just pretend it's a seed. But it's a rock. Yeah, I know it's a rock. So, there's fun moments like that. The cast of characters can be, the circus troupe, the various designs, like how pretty the moth is in the back that can mesmerize some people. Then the ladybug that people keep mistaken for a woman. Oh my god, she's a guy. But I know it's one of those things that as I'm watching it, I kind of watch it on autopilot. I don't know if anyone ever has that, where you're watching a film And, sometimes it's animated. I don't know, a lot of times it's with animated. Where it's not that I'm loving it. I'm definitely not hating it. But I'm kind of just, okay, it's a short film. It's not too overlong. 90 minutes or less. It's colorful. You got some good voice actors in there. And it's just harmless at the end of the day. Kevin Spacey does a good job with the intimidation factor. It's one of those plots that could easily be changed if people just had one fucking conversation. So when Dave Foley gets there, he sees them at the bar, but he's kind of pushed out as they're acting tough against these flies that didn't like their show and want their money back and revenge and other stuff. So without David Foley watching, the whole house, which is in this can, tips, or I should say the bar, tips, rolls, and then Dave Foley just sees the aftermath, which seems like they won and they beat them all up. And then Dave Foley's like, hey, I got a job for you. Okay, and then they fly off. If they sat down and had one conversation of, okay, what is the job? What do you want us to do? Oh, I want you to protect us from these grasshoppers who want our seeds and food, and we want you to kick their ass and kill them and do all this. Wait, that's not us. We're a circus troupe. But it seems like a conversation that should have and would have happened a lot earlier, but it never does. So then this thing just builds and builds and builds, and you know where it's going, and you know where it's going to happen. So because of that being predictable, you're just waiting for it to happen. And that's a common trope in films, and it's not my favorite because it's just one of those, again, just have a fucking conversation. But then there wouldn't be a movie or partially a movie. And there are films I love that follow that as well, and it could be overcome for a variety of reasons that I won't talk about because I'm sticking with this movie and not those movies. But it depends how you feel about that trope, if you're fine with it or not. It's not my favorite trope. It is what it is. But yeah, I do think the designs of the ants, I feel they're a bit more simplistic and more user friendly compared to, say, the ones in ants. But they do look, quote, prettier, which helps, I think, with the aesthetic. I do think the grasshoppers, especially Kevin Spacey's, I like the kind of details of their faces and how certain parts of their face move. I do think it's a really good design on those specific insects, the grasshoppers. And this goofy fun for the kids. There's, of course, the hot-tempered guy who helps this girl at one point, Dot, from this bird, and then the others help out to get the bird away and escape. So all the little kids like the hot-tempered guy, and he raises a voice one point, but then he does something to make them laugh, and he becomes like the mother hen, or the den mother, I should say, of this group of kids. The other characters don't have a whole lot to do in the middle portion. It's pretty much they decide to build this fake bird to scare the grasshoppers. It's more about building that, getting together. Then, of course, the circus troupe's leader somehow finds them. I still don't know how the fuck he found them, but somehow he found them. I do like that. I don't know if it's millipedes, but whatever is pulling his carriage, I like that. I like the image of these millipedes kind of being used as horses for the carriage. Thought that was a neat detail. But I don't know how. I think it's John Ratzenberger, actually, from the TV show Cheers. He was in the movie House 2, The Second Story. And this dude was annoying. Like, he screwed up so many times, and he was a blabbermouth. The fact he never got a comeuppance, and the fact that they still, even at the end, still follow this asshole was annoying to me. He deserved some kind of comeuppance, punched, kicked in the nuts if he had any, thrown out the window, something, man. He deserved it and he didn't get any comeuppance, and that pissed me off. That was a bit fucking annoying, at least to me. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, how do I put it? So as it goes on, and I'm watching this, like I said, I know it's stupid to say because many films you'll know where it's going, so is that really an issue? But it's just, then when you found out, then there's going to be the blame game, then it's your fault, you didn't tell us, and you asshole, you didn't tell us, and were you in this all along, then you're kicked out. Then Dave Foley is kicked out with the circus troupe, but Dot is like, this is bullshit, and she follows. The grasshoppers come, you fucked up, we're going to do some stuff to you. Dot finds them, the troupe, the circus, and Dave Foley. She tossed some sense into him finally by that rock metaphor. The others are confused. What the hell is the deal with the rock? Well, ants are weird. Because they don't get it because they weren't there. Dave Foley comes up with an idea. You have the rescue mission. The circus becomes pretty much, well, I want to say bait, but put on a show. Distraction. They become a big distraction while the others go in to get their bird thing they made. And then, I mean, I don't know how none of them still thought the bird idea was a good idea. They obviously thought it was a good enough idea to build the fucking thing in the first place, but whatever. Ultimately, they swoop in, steers a bunch of the grasshoppers away, but some are still there. I like the little detail of the little kids kind of controlling the thing. And again, the Dot character was... Hayden Panettiere did a really good job. And sorry, I'm butchering her last name because I don't know how the hell to say it right. But Hayden did a nice job voicing the little kid. Very cute. Very likable. And telling all the other kids how to move the bird. Of course, John Ratzenberger comes in at the end to fuck everything up. That's like, God, step on this guy and have it be like the fucking gum under your shoe. Squish it. Squish this fucking bud. Get a goddamn fly swatter on the motherfucker. He screws it up and burns the damn thing. So they realize that it's a ruse. Kevin Spacey beats the fuck out of Dave Foley. And then him and then the others realize there's this thing called math. What math means is that which is more? The ants and the numbers of them and the grasshoppers and number of them. One number is much bigger than the other number. We call that math. Or, maybe just numbers. Doesn't have to be that. I just put math, it adds up. Wow, you add all this up, it's a lot fucking more than you. So they finally get the hint and they go towards and steer them because there's a lot more of us than you. Until you get this kind of chase scene between Kevin Spacey wanting to kill Dave Foley. The others try to rescue him. And Dave Foley comes up with a plan. I will say the death scene of the villain is much more satisfying than in Ants. In Ants, Gene Hackman and Woody Allen just kind of fall, and Gene Hackman just lands somewhere, and that's it. Here, there's an actual chase action sequence, and Kevin Spacey's character gets plucked up and ripped apart by the baby birds, and like, you get the idea. Again, much more of a satisfying death scene. So I do think that's something that it did better compared to Ants. I'll give it that. It's a colorful movie. It goes at a decent enough pace. Listen, there's nothing in this that I thought they'd get angry about or upset about or anything. it wasn't a movie that forced in stupid fucking songs that were the hits at the time or hits from 1985 that they decided to bring back and force into the soundtrack and montages. All of a sudden, "Sweet Child of Mine," starts playing. It wasn't filled with stupid fucking fart jokes and dick jokes and stuff like they probably do nowadays. There's no political bullshit or wokeness or anything. These are simple times and simple movies, and like I said, it's nothing to really get that mad about. It's fine entertainment. It's nothing that made me love it and I need to buy it on DVD or Blu-ray or anything, because I don't own the film. I don't care about that I don't own the film. I think Ants, just because of the dialogue, the way it just feels a bit wittier, funnier, and it's a bit more satiric. Like, Ants seems like the satire version of this movie. So I think that's what makes Ants, among others, a bit more interesting to me as I'm older. But yeah, if you have kids, this is definitely fine enough entertainment. It's interesting that this is one of those that never got a sequel from Pixar, because this is an early Pixar film, because you had Toy Story, then you had this film, then you had Toy Story 2, and you had films like Monsters, Inc. The Incredibles got a sequel, Monsters, Inc. got Monsters University, Toy Story got 4 movies so far, they're probably doing a 5th one. Cars got at least a Cars 2 and a Cars 3. Incredibles got a sequel. But this one didn't. Like, this one, Ratatouille, Up, although Up, it's kind of a self-contained story, and Ed Asner has passed away, so it kind of stands on its own. Finding Nemo, which I liked, that they did a sequel, Finding Dory. But yeah, this, Ratatouille, Up, which made sense, and Wall-E, Brave, but fuck, Brave sucks. Wall-E, I would say this one and Wall-E, those are the two I'm surprised never got a sequel. I wonder why. Because they both did well at the box office. Wall-E, maybe they were disappointed with the results. They thought it'd be more. I don't know. But, it got so much praise. Like I said, Wall-E and this one, they feel like they could do a sequel. But, yeah, maybe that's the thing. Maybe sometimes one is all you need. And, you don't want a sequel that shits the bed. You know what I mean? So... By Wall-E, I love. Like, Wall-E is my favorite Pixar. If you look at just Pixar films, Wall-E would be number 1. Finding Nemo would be high up there. Zootopia is not Pixar. Zootopia is just Disney animation. Because I don't think that's Pixar. Zootopia is... I want to look. Zootopia, Pixar. Okay, no. I get confused because Pixar is with Disney, but then Disney has their own thing too, so that's why I get confused, so bear with me. But that's why I want to double check. I didn't think it was, but I'm like, I want to double check. So, but would this be in my top 5 Pixar films? Probably not. Would it be in top 10? Sure. Like I said, it's fine for what it is. It's cute. Characters to be colorful and fun. Definitely more palatable for the kids. And yeah, it's harmless for what it needed to be. So, with that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.